Hey, it's AM Collector here. In today's video, we're going to take a look at the 2-panel death card of Franz Grobner. So without further ado, we'll go ahead and get started. So going from the top of the card here. In memory of my dearest beloved husband, our best father, Franz Grobner, an Obergefreiter in a Landesschutzen Battailon, bearer of the wound badge and the War Merit Cross with swords, who after receiving the last rites as a result of his severe wounds, left us forever on January 31st, 1945 at the age of 42. And I actually mentioned quite some time ago that I was going to start doing this, but in this case I do actually have ground dug versions of both those medals, the Black Wound Badge and the War Merit Cross Second Class, which is what Franz apparently had been awarded over the course of the war. Now, unfortunately, because he was killed January of 1945, I was not able to find a casualty record for him. However, I did find a hit for him on Volksbund. So, Franz was born on March 11th, 1903 in Absdorf and died in Heiligenstadt. And he's actually buried in the Heilbad Heiligenstadt Old Cemetery, Block A4, Grave K18. I was doing some research online trying to figure out if there was any bombing raids on Heiligenstadt around the time that Franz was killed, if there was any action going on somewhere around there. And what I did actually find is that there were 8 different military hospitals in Heiligenstadt in 1945. So likely Franz had been wounded in action somewhere else and had been taken to one of these Heiligenstadt hospitals, which is where he ends up dying. And that kind of lines up with what we're seeing here. We know that he received the last rites, so clearly he was at least in the hospital long enough. They recognized he wasn't going to make it. We're able to get a priest, bring the priest to him. They were able to do the last rites. Granted, that doesn't take a lot of time, but still, it implies that there was more time between his wounding and death than we usually see in these kind of death cards. Now, the Landesschutzen Battalions we've actually talked about a couple times on the channel. These are generally older guys that get drafted. In this case, we see that Franz is 42 at the time of his death. And these units are supposed to be doing like very rear line security, guard detail, basically guarding like supply bases, kind of things like that. So they're really not meant to be frontline units, but in 1945, everybody's kind of in a frontline unit at that point. So even though those guys were older, didn't have a ton of experience, and, obviously weren't as well equipped as some of the more frontline units, they're still being called on to fight in combat. Now, of course, we don't know if that's 100% the case with Franz. He could have been wounded in a bombing raid, potentially as well. But unfortunately, there's really no way to tell for sure, at least with the records that I have available. And moving to the bottom of the card here, may he rest far from his loved ones in God's holy peace. If love could work miracles and tears could wake the dead, then cold earth would certainly not cover you. And moving to the back of the card here, we actually do have a photo of Franz. And moving down, be strong, my little heart, bear silently the deepest sorrow of the soul, for a hero's wife must not perish in pain. And when you cry tear after tear and cry year after year, the time will come when you realize that it was all love. Children, when your mother cries, dry her tears, and when the sun shines, plant a forget-me-not on my grave. And at the very bottom, unforgettable and irreplaceable. Now, this is quite a moving poem, actually. I don't believe we've come across this one before, but it's very striking, and it actually translates very well in English. That tear after tear, year after year works very well, actually. Though I suppose it does actually work very well in the German as well. Yeah, overall, very interesting card. And if you guys like the metal thing, I will try to keep doing that if I can remember. I think it kind of helps as a visual aid to kind of see what those medals would be. I'm still working on filling out my ground dug medal collection. I still, as of time of filming this, have not acquired a ground dug EK2, which should be a lot easier than it is, but they don't really seem to come up very often. When they do, they kind of go for a fair bit. But I have my eyes on one right now, so hopefully once I get that, in most cases I'll be able to show the medals that the soldier have been awarded. Obviously some cases that won't be possible, but I'll do my best. But yeah, overall, I hope you guys all enjoyed the video. Please leave a comment down below. Love hearing from you. Thank you all for watching. Happy collecting, and I'll see you all again very soon.